Let me know if you can hear the sound of my voice. Always gotta check the audio before we start these things now, apparently. So if you can hear me, let me know in the chat room. Jim Kahn is not a fan of Eric Young. Okay, you can hear me. Alright, cool. We'll start in just a minute. I appreciate that, Jaron Spearman, but I haven't actually started the review yet. Okay. Put this over here. All right. Impact Wrestling World Title Series, round of 8. So, after 2.5 months, that's right, 2.5 months of this never-ending World Title Series, it feels like we're finally getting somewhere. The round of 16 was last week. We got it over and done with. Now we're in the round of 8. So only 8 people left in this tournament, which means that we're finally getting close to a place where the entire goddamn show cannot be solely about this tournament anymore. Impact cannot be comprised of only these tournament matches and nothing else much longer. So pretty soon they're going to have to start incorporating other things, important things. Things like in-ring promos, for example, backstage pre-tapes, hopefully storylines of some kind. But we don't get those changes immediately, at least not this week, because this episode started with, drumroll please, a wrestling match in the World Title Series. It was Lashley versus Mahabali Shera. One of the nice things about this, about being this far into the tournament now, is that the matches are becoming a bit less predictable, and you can't automatically assume that one person is going to go over the other every single time, and this was one of those matches. Well, this was the one match you could say that about. With all the others, the winner was pretty obvious, but Shera is TNA's gateway star in India, and Lashley is, well, Lashley. So you probably figured Lashley was going over, but this one was a little bit of a toss-up. At least until Dixie Carter actually spoiled the outcome of the match, saying that Lashley won the match on her Twitter page before the match had even finished. I'm not even joking. That actually happened. She congratulated Lashley on winning the match before the match had finished. Wow. What can I even say about the match after Dixie goes ahead and does something like that? Oh my god. How does that even happen? Was she in a different time zone and just tried to guess when the match was over or something like that? I don't. How do you do that? So after some jaw-jacking from the announcers and the tease of a Dixie Carter sit-down interview, because that's what this show has been lacking lately, right? We go to Eric Young versus Tigre Uno. And of course, we all knew where this was going. But hey, look, Eric Young cuts a promo on Tigre before the match, because we have time for promos now. Good. Unfortunately, Eric doesn't really say anything interesting. Just the generic heel, this is my ring, you can't beat me, so just leave promo. that could literally be cut by any heel in any company in any era. So that promo probably took less time to write than it took for Eric to say. So it still feels like the writers are kind of asleep at the wheel here. The match is good. Eric wins, which we all knew would happen before the bell even rang, so there was no suspense here whatsoever. Hey, speaking of zero suspense, Matt Hardy versus Jesse Goddard. Goddard is still not doing it for me yet, and Matt Hardy is... I'm still just having a really big problem with Matt being in this spot. And since he was obviously going to win because TNA is just in love with Matt right now for some reason, I really didn't care about this match much at all. And the match quality didn't do anything to change my mind, really. I thought it was kind of dull, actually. Matt wins, of course. And then we go to this Dixie Carter sit-down interview. It's well-produced, but most of it is either Dixie just recapping things that have already happened, telling us things we already know, or patting herself on the back about how supposedly awesome the World Title Series has been. Well, that's one person's opinion. In my opinion, the World Title Series has been dull, predictable, full of redundancies, and has been about 3 times longer than it needed to be. Also, Dixie Carter says that she's proud of the way that Matt Hardy won the world title at Bound for Glory. Yeah, because having your brother as the referee and him helping you win the match by attacking one of your opponents, that's something to be proud of, according to Dixie. That's the way of winning the world title that she can be proud of. That's the kind of thing she wants in a babyface champion. The fact that they don't seem to understand what's wrong with this is a huge warning sign. I can't believe they don't see what they're doing here. And the interview closes out with Dixie saying that she loves how the World Title Series has given everyone an opportunity to step up, even people who haven't gotten opportunities in the past. Which is kind of sort of true, but look at your Final Four. It's the usual suspects, EC3, Lashley, Eric Young, and Matt Hardy. Now, EC3 certainly belongs in there, but with those other guys, this doesn't exactly scream that you're giving big opportunities to new people. Really doesn't. Just saying. And our final match of the round of 16, our main event tonight, is EC3 versus Davey Richards. This was actually an interesting matchup. And hey, we get pre-match promos from both guys. Nice. The writers are still putting next to no effort into scripting them. Excuse me. But at least the promos were there. That's something. And of course, you knew EC3 was going to win, but in this case, that didn't matter quite as much as with the other matches, because at least Davey has enough credibility and is respected enough as a badass that you can sell him as a guy that EC3 would have trouble with. And he does. It's a competitive match. Believably so. EC3 has a lot of trouble with Davey. And it's a very good match, too. Even though I knew EC3's undefeated streak wasn't going to end here, of all places, I almost managed to suspend my disbelief for a minute. It was that good. Really strong main event here. This was great stuff. And that was Impact for this week. Not a lot actually happened here. And the cliffhanger is that next week's Impact, they're going to take an in-depth look at the Final Four guys in the tournament, whatever that means. And also, they will be taking people who were eliminated from the tournament previously and putting them in multi-man matches against each other. To be honest, I'm not sure why we're doing that. Is there going to be any story involved in this at all? Or are we just trying to fill up the rest of the show with random-ass matches again? There were 4 matches on this show. 4 matches in 2 hours. You would think that this would give them plenty of time to fill up the rest of the show with other things, potentially interesting things, promos, pre-tapes, character vignettes, something like that. But they didn't. Instead, they filled up all that extra time with video packages about tonight's matches, the announcers giving pointless predictions about who was going to win tonight's matches, and a kayfabe sit-down interview with Dixie Carter where she really didn't say anything that we didn't already know. Essentially, this Impact was 4 matches and a shit ton of filler. And you wonder why no one's watching your show right now, TNA. It's because you are booking an incredibly predictable paint-by-numbers wrestling show that, from a creative standpoint, looks like it had almost no effort put into it whatsoever. And in 2015, that is simply not good enough. Not nearly good enough. I'm not criticizing the wrestlers. You know, they're still giving all the effort. You know, I'm criticizing creative. Does this show even have a creative team right now? Because based on what I'm seeing on the show, I would suspect that it doesn't. If it does, why are they not doing anything? Every Impact since Bound for Glory looks like it required almost no writing at all. They just booked a bunch of tournament matches and put them on TV. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting tired of that. Can we please shake things up already? Anytime you're ready, TNA. Seriously. Anytime now would be great. JGH Zilla, in-ring promos won't be happening until January. Yeah, probably. But I guess they're doing the semifinals and the finals on the same show. So what the hell are they going to do to kill time until then? I mean, we got a couple of weeks before January still. What's the show going to be comprised of in the meantime? Is it literally just going to be them stalling and for the next 3-4 weeks? Because that doesn't sound interesting at all. Okay. JGH Zilla, Dixie is not in a different time zone. She's in a totally different world on Made of Her Own Mind called Dixieland. One Made of Her Own Mind called Dixieland. Well, Dixieland was actually a thing at one point. Ray Mastani, can you believe Dave Meltzer said there were going to be major changes for Raw? Yeah, okay, Dave. I'll believe that when I see it. Giancarlo Vasquez Marcano. Oh, wow, a concept for TNA. A promo. What a concept for TNA. Yeah, actually, at this point, that would be quite a concept for TNA. A rarely used concept. Because they hardly ever do them. The whole show is just matches. Not sure how we got to this place, but I would like... I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would like more talking on this show. You can't have a show be just about the wrestling. There has to be more to it than that. Okay, you need storylines. You need characters. You need things to happen. You need events to transpire. If it's just about matches, if you're just doing a tournament that goes for 3 months, I mean, why should people watch? The only people who are going to watch that are the hardest of hardcore wrestling fans. You're not going to attract any casual viewers. You're driving them away with this type of stuff. Jim Khan, if it goes down to EC3 and Hardy or in the finals, I cannot wait for your rant. Personally, I would have gone with Drew Galloway to win just to mix it up. Well, that would have been something different, at least. Oh, my God. EC3 and Hardy in the finals, huh? That's probably where they're headed. Oh, my God. Which would mean that they essentially did a 3-month-long tournament just to arrive at the exact same place they were at Bound for Glory. Which would mean that the entire tournament was a giant fucking waste of time. Oh, that's where they're going, isn't it? Christ. nice if that wasn't it. Dire Wolf, if Space Ass... we got the Shield question. Okay. If Space Asshole was not involved with the Fitzsimmons storyline, would you have liked this good guy character involved with someone else like Bobby? No. It would just be another love triangle. I dislike love triangles in general. Would I have less anger directed at it because it's not messing with Fitzsimmons? Probably a little bit. I still wouldn't want them to do it. I would still be wishing they were just going in a different direction. But no, I'm down on love triangles in general. I just find them boring, predictable. Let's see. JGH Zilla, from what I heard, there were some changes, just that all of them were freaking horrible and nonsensical. Well, now this is Vince McMahon. He probably made a whole lot of changes at the last minute, forced them to rewrite the show on the fly during the show, stuff like that. And big surprise, the end result turned out to be not that different from what they do normally. WeBear50, thoughts on changes coming to WWE SmackDown when it comes to the USA Network? Dude, honestly, I haven't watched SmackDown in so long. That show is nothing but filler. Seriously, nothing important happens on that show. If anything, and in the event that something relevant actually does happen on SmackDown, they'll just replay it or have a rematch on Raw. There's absolutely no reason to watch SmackDown. No reason. Because all the relevant stuff happens on the A show. It's just the way it is. So will that change when they come to USA? Possibly, but I doubt it. Duke Nukem, what do you have against Matt Hardy? He's not just a mid-carder, you know. Well, that's one person's opinion. I would think when he's part of the Hardys, he feels like a bigger deal. On his own, not so much. You put too much focus on this guy as a singles competitor, you're kind of exposing him as not being all that interesting. Again, just my opinion. Giancarlo Vasquez Marcano is going... It's going to come down to EC3 and Matt Hardy. Unfortunately, we waited 3 months for a rematch. We knew what happened anyway. That's a bummer. That would be kind of a bummer, wouldn't it? Duke, the problem is Matt has been booked like he has never earned the title, but he acts like he has. Oh, don't even get me started on that, man. This whole thing started at Bound for Glory when he basically was handed a spot in the main event world title match without earning it. Drew Galloway got him his spot in the match by winning the match for him. Drew Galloway got Matt that spot. And then Matt is given an unfair advantage when his brother is made the special referee, and his brother, during the match, then helps him win by attacking EC3. His brother, the referee, attacked one of his opponents, helping him win the match. Matt came out of that looking like the heel, and yet TNA are presenting him as if he's some kind of altruistic white knight, and the whole thing rings completely false. Matt, to me, comes off as really annoyingly self-righteous and indignant. And to me, he feels like the heel. EC3 is technically does more heelish things most of the time, but at least EC3 is entertaining and charming and funny and charismatic and stuff. Can't really say those things about Matt. God bless him. Let's see. Did you read the article about Daniel Bryan saying his WWE career may be done? I have not read that. I've heard rumors circulating that may be the case. I said I said if the next doctor didn't clear him, he'd leave WWE and go back to the Indies. I think he said that. I really hate to see that happen. Ray Mastani, Raw ratings were at its lowest again. Thank WWE for listening to our surveys. Oh, were they again? Did they set a new low? You know what? Let me check to see if let me check to see the ratings. I didn't see them yet. Let's see, no DQ usually has them. Oh yeah, there's the Daniel Bryan thing. Shit. All right, I'm not seeing anything about the ratings here. Nuts. Oh well, I'll find them later. But yeah. Did they set a new record low? That does not surprise me. Frankly, fuck. If creative is if their roster is so thin and creative is so bankrupt that they're trying to pop the ratings by having Tommy Dreamer wrestle twice in one night, they've got a problem. They've got a problem on their hands. Honestly, I mean, the last Monday's Raw was another show where I was dozing off at certain points. It says something that I didn't even bother to care to look up to see what I missed. Unless tapings were done in July or changed. Will you be doing Jim Con? Will you be doing a Star Wars review? Oh, I hope so, because I got a feeling I'm gonna love to talk about that thing with somebody. Maybe not a typical review. I might do a stream. Might talk about it in a stream. We'll see. I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it opening day, because with my luck, I may have to work that day, because that's just how things tend to. Because that's the kind of thing that would tend to happen to me. But I'm gonna try to see it as soon as I can when it comes out, and I'm sure I'll be itching to talk about it. JCVM semifinals and finals matches will take place at the premiere of Impact on Pop TV. TNA just announced that. Yeah. The premiere episode on Pop TV is in January. Well, we still got a couple more shows in December. So what are they going to do to kill the time until then? Are we just going to be taking an in-depth look at the Final Four for the next 3-4 weeks? Because that sounds like a hell of a lot of filler material to me. Okay. There will still be no story involved next week. Yeah, that seems to be the way the wind is blowing. JCVM TNA is just phoning in until they debut on Pop TV in January. This is the TNA saying can't wait to get off Destination America over. Can't wait to get this Destination America era over with. I would hope that's the case, but who the hell knows? I mean, this has been a hell of a long time to phone it in. We're talking months of this. I mean, by the time they get to Pop TV, it will have been 3 months of phoning it in. And wouldn't you want the product to be in a hot place when you debut on a new network? Instead of interest probably being at an all-time low? Because you've been phoning it in for 3 months straight? I don't understand that. I would think that now would be the time to really hit the afterburners and try to make everything as hot as possible. But they haven't been doing that. They've been doing the opposite. Sent the article on a tweet. Is that the article about the ratings? Hang on. The Bryan interview. All right. Okay, I will read that when we're done here. Oh, well done. Here we go. We Bear 50. I watched Raw, and this is the change they were talking about. What change? Starting the show with a long match instead of a long promo. Because I think that's not much of a change. Certainly not one that's going to draw in any new viewers. Thoughts on Sami Zayn and John Cena's stances on Trump? I have not heard their stances on Trump. Instead of a 20-minute promo, let's start with a 16-man elimination tag match. Well, Survivor Series is coming up. So let's give away elimination matches for free on the show. That'll make people excited for Survivor Series, right? They had the Wyatts eliminated by Tommy Dreamer. Oh, God. Hashtag the new farce of fear. They're really burying Bray Wyatt, aren't they? There's no changes coming in WWE. People don't get fooled by that news on the dirt sheets. Yep. What did you think of Reigns' tater tot promo? I didn't. Other than the tater tots remark, I'm having trouble remembering anything about it. I remember it being really long and really dull. I think the promo was stretched out way longer than it should have been. With them taking a really long time to get to the point. Reigns daring Sheamus to get into the ring, and Sheamus, no, I won't do it because you got that thing in there with you. I won't do it because you got a chair. I won't do it because you got a table. Get rid of that, and then maybe I'll get in there. And it felt like this went on for like 10 minutes. I mean, if you want to go that long, you need somebody a little more captivating on the mic than Roman Reigns. I mean, he's trying, but he just doesn't. I just don't think he has the gravitas to pull off that kind of thing. Plus, the guy can't even keep a straight face most of the time. He's always just kind of chuckling and grinning like the whole thing is kind of a big joke to him. Shouldn't he be serious? Shouldn't he be like angry and more intense than this? He's trying to play it like the whole thing is really casual, and that doesn't build heat for this matchup. That doesn't make me want to see these guys tear each other apart. JGH Zilla, it'll definitely be weeks of stalling and pointless matches. Good to know. So a couple more weeks of them phoning it in, apparently. Even the hardest of the hardcore wrestling fans don't like this. Yeah, I'm really not sure who they're trying to appeal to with a show like this. It's just, most of the matches are good, but it's so hard to care when so few of them actually mean anything. After 3 months of a tournament, even the wrestling is going to get old. I think Vince is on crack. He's booking Survivor Series for TLC. Yeah, that kind of reeked of a last-minute decision, didn't it? It's like, we gotta start the show off with a bang. Let's do a Survivor Series style matchup. Put half the roster in the ring at one time. 6.0 ratings, here we come. Now, save me one. Eric Young should be put back in the X Division. His badass character could help it out. I don't know. I have no real desire to see Eric Young in the X Division. Not sure that would do anything for him or for the X Division, really. I mean, they don't want to focus on it. If anything, if that were to happen, they'd probably just put the title on Eric and then have him compete in the heavyweight division. And not really compete in the X Division at all. That seems to be the trend in the last couple, in recent times more often than not. They put the belt on one guy and he just never does anything with it. NJ. TNA just tweeted news Slammiversary 2015 Turning Point at Victory Road now at shoptna.com. Top seller. Okay. Slammiversary. It's one of the pay-per-views where they showed the main event on free TV, wasn't it? I think it was. Yeah, so after they showed us the biggest match on free TV, now they want us to buy the DVD. Yeah, okay. We were 50. I was thinking that Vince McMahon said that sent Eva Marie to NXT to sabotage them because Vince is jealous that NXT is better than Raw and SmackDown. Though I don't think Vince would go so far as to sabotage his own product. I would no. I think it sounds more likely that Vince would send Eva Marie to NXT because he's deluded into thinking that Eva Marie has real talent. It could be a real star for him. I disagree. I haven't seen anything in her that makes me think she could be a star. I don't know what they see in her for the life of me. Direwolf 87. If you wrote Space Asshole's character differently, how would you do so? Wow. Not knowing where exactly they're going with that yet, because I think there's a lot of stories still to be revealed about that. Without knowing that, I would have written him to have some kind of connection to the death entity from the very beginning, because that to me would have explained a lot, would have accounted for almost every detail that is not adding up yet. It might not have been the most unpredictable thing in the world, but I think it would have explained everything it needed to. With the direction they took with him this past Tuesday, I still have a lot of questions about him. And I'm assuming there's more story to come with that. Because if there isn't, then there's a lot of stuff and I'm going to be shaking my head at. I'll leave it at that for now. GCVM, last Monday's Raw was a big pile of shit from the start to end. 2.15 rating. Wow. They're creeping down into... They're getting close to the ones, aren't they? You gotta figure sooner or later USA is gonna step in and demand that they do something. Because things can't continue. They'll probably get a bit of a boost when football ends, but they're getting hurt bad. The Save Me one. Melina has left Lucha Underground. Do you think TNA should try to sign her? I have nothing against Melina. I generally liked her fine in WWE, but no. I'm not interested in TNA revisiting the past. That goes for past knockouts and past divas. I want to see them move forward, and that means creating new stars. They cannot keep getting hung up on all their old habits, hang-ups, whatever you want to call them, with relying on former former stars from whatever company they happen to be in to use as a crutch. They did that with Tara for a long time. Instead of trying to create new stars to fill the vacuum in the knockout division, they just brought in Victoria and pushed her to the moon. And that was a band-aid for a wound that needed stitches. And so with this. Okay, Brooke is leaving. A lot of Taryn Terrell is heavily rumored to be leaving. I can't see Awesome Kong just retired from competition in Japan, so she probably doesn't have a very long shelf life left either. So that's 2, possibly 3. That's 1, probably 2, possibly even 3 knockouts that they have to replace. I would be very happy if all 3 of them came from the Indies, or new people. Nothing against Melina, who I've never really had a problem with, but I'm not interested in seeing them going after former stars at this point. I just want to see them create new ones. That's what they need to be focusing on. Ray Mastani, how would you book Ambrose? and in his title match against Kevin Owens. Well, I would have, for starters, I would have him do more to build up some heat in that match than just be, throwing popcorn in Kevin Owens' face. How is that supposed to make us anxious to see the match? He gets some food from concessions and throws it in Kevin Owens' face and just leaves. And he just leaves the ring and goes backstage again. How is that interesting? That's an annoyance at best. It's not something that's going to piss Owens off. Have him do something that's going to piss Owens off. Or get under his skin. Do something. I mean, you got two great promo guys here. Here's a crazy thought. Let them talk. Let them cut promos on each other. Don't even bother scripting them. Just let them say whatever the hell they want. They'd probably come up with something a lot better than the writers could come up with. I heard John Gaburek thinks Melina is a headache. I've heard other people say that about Melina. She's had backstage issues from time to time over the years. Direwolf87, if you were to sign any tag team, who would it be? How many? I think they need a number of dude tag teams, because right now they have the Wolves. And that's it. They have the Hardys, but the Hardys aren't working as a team right now. Honestly, I haven't really thought about it that much. I mean, I could name, tag teams from ROH. Isn't WWE interested in some of them? I don't know. I mean, for a short-term fix, you could create some tag teams from your current roster. That I'm really scratching my head as to why that hasn't happened already. I mean, you got Mark Andrews and Rockstar Spud. You can make a tag team. I don't know why that hasn't happened yet. You could do I don't know, Jesse Goddard and Eli Drake. You could put them together and it probably wouldn't feel too out of left field because they're similar enough. I mean, you could do stuff like that. 205. JGH Zilla, technically, they actually did their second lowest rating in this many weeks. The ratings 2 weeks ago was worse, but this week's show dropped from last week. Yeah, okay. Still not a good rating. Little kids could book Raw better than these fucking tater tots of creative. Yeah, most people probably could. Rey Mysterio, what's your favorite Monsters Ball match? Oh, Christ. Honestly, I'm sick of Monsters Balls. The whole hardcore Abyss thing is just really just beyond played out now. There's been so many of these things I can't even remember off the top of my head. Was there one with AJ Styles like a long time ago, or was that a cage match? I think it was a cage match. Honestly, so many of these Monsters Balls have just blended together to me. I can't really tell them apart anymore. January 4th, 2010 episode of TNA started off hot. Will it be the same? Started off hot. It started off hot in the sense that it had a lot of attention. It had a lot of publicity due to Hogan just being there. Did it start off hot from a creative standpoint? No. Not at all. I could have booked a better show in fucking 20 minutes. I actually did. I did a video where I fantasy booked that episode. I think it's still on my channel. Go back and watch that. Where I fantasy booked the July 4th, 2010 edition of Impact. Guarantee you that would have been more interesting than what they did. Survivor Series was done already? Whatever. The Save Me One would be nice. What would be nice is if TNA could get a deal with Hulu so the show could be streamed after it airs. That would be helpful, actually, because I'm not sure if I have Pop TV. I haven't checked yet. If I don't, then I'm gonna have to watch the show online from now on. So streaming it on Hulu, that would be helpful. Reigns is the Samoan John Cena. Yeah, pretty much. Direwolf87. Sami Zayn said in a tweet that Donald Trump wants to party like it's 1939, and Cena said on the Today Show that Trump was bold and brash, a.k.a. a piece of shit. Heh. So we a nice way of putting it. Yeah, just Trump seems pretty xenophobic, and it's not. And his views on immigration just seem like they're taking kind of a narrow-minded approach to the situation. It's not really the time and place to get into that, but yeah. Direwolf, Vince just caught up with the 80s callback to the on crack comment. Ray Mastani, how would I change Raw? How would I change Raw? Stop letting Vince micromanage everything for starters. Start putting some fucking effort into creative, write storylines that people actually give a shit about. Tell the writers to pull their heads out of their asses when it comes to booking the divas. I mean, you try to figure out that Paige Charlotte thing right now. That whole feud is a complete fucking mess. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Have you watched any matches from Jimmy Havoc? No, I have not. Fuck, marry, kill. Nikki Bella, Eva Marie, and Charlotte. I would kill Eva Marie. I guess I'd fuck Nikki and marry Charlotte. Yeah, because from what I saw of Nikki on Total Divas before I stopped watching Total Divas, she's really annoying in real life. I would not want to be around that all the time. So I guess Charlotte's kind of the default. In that sense. Direwolf, USA is back in WWE, but will they say the same if the ratings get lower? If the ratings continue to drop, they'll say something eventually. I mean, things can't continue in this direction forever. Have you ever seen the movie Space Jam? No. Just not my thing. Direwolf, how would you book Ambrose in general? I want to book him in general. I'd let him talk more. Let him cut his own promos more. I'd do more with him. I give him more autonomy so he can be more than just Roman Reigns' little buddy. I mean, he's got the charisma and the talent to make it as a single star. They don't utilize him much in that capacity, unfortunately. At least not lately. Man, that guy could be a really popular upper mid-carder, if not more. They could be doing a lot more. I mean, Ambrose is probably one of those guys they should be highlighting a lot more, considering the state of the roster. Teams like the Briscoes and War Machine work at TNA. I guess any tag teams would be better than nothing in TNA. I think the Briscoes are probably tailor-made for ROH. War Machine, I don't know. Ramastani, TNA was good when Cornette was there. It depends how much control he had over creative. How much of that was him and how much of that was other people's. Jeff Atwood, do you think WWE will book Reigns to win the title at TLC for a chance for the ratings to go up? I don't think so. I think they probably wait another month or two for that. I mean, they're pushing him as the number one number one guy chasing the title, and ratings aren't going up. And people are not clearly the audience is not terribly invested in seeing him chase the title, so why would they be invested in seeing him win it? They got to create some interest first, some intrigue before they can put the title on him. Otherwise, people aren't going to care that much. So I don't see what problems that would solve, if any. Direwolf 87, how would you book the creative teams in both companies to have a match against each other? Who the hell knows? And considering the state of both companies right now, I just don't see how that would be very interesting. All right, how about that? How about this? Put the world title back on EC3. Have him cut a promo on the WWE guys saying, "Hey, look, I was in your company for a while. You didn't do anything with me. You dropped the ball on me. So I went to another company and I proved everybody wrong. So throw someone at me and I'll, make him humble or something." Be really interesting to see him have facing off against Sheamus. You see the contrast in promo styles and charisma in that sense. I think EC3 would come off really well in that in a side-by-side comparison with Sheamus. No one knows who's the face and who's the heel in WWE. Everyone is bipolar in that company. Oh, hell yeah. Paige and Charlotte, perfect example. Paige turns on PCB because, saying a whole bunch of things about Charlotte, which Charlotte then proves to be true when she turns into a total bitch. So we're meant to think that Paige is the heel, but then all the things that she said about Charlotte that made her the heel turn out to be true. So then Paige kind of seems like the face, but then she's still acting really bitchy and heelish because Charlotte wants to fight her and Paige backs off. And so the upshot is everyone's an asshole. And there's no reason to root for one person over the other because they're both horrible people. This is not how you build a feud. It's not how you make people interested in the fucking feud. You need somebody to root for. Someone. Christ. The only true babyface divas they've got on the roster right now are Becky, Lynch, and Natalya. And Natalya's not doing anything. Find myself wondering why the hell they're not putting Becky in there. Or, Sasha. The heel people cheer for. Doesn't seem like Vince is behind her, though. Yeah. Do you think it's too soon to turn Charlotte heel? Not necessarily. I think she's probably better as a heel. I don't find her very interesting as a face. She's a good wrestler, but as a face, she's just not really bringing much to the table personality-wise. She's a little better as a heel so far, even if her whole shtick is just aping her dad. But it's something. It's more than what she had as a face. So I was fine with it. I was okay with them turning Charlotte heel. My problem was just how they did it. Because again, you're playing her off against Paige. They're both just acting like tweener assholes. And there's no reason to boo one over the other, no reason to cheer one of the other. It's just really confusing. Do you think Nikki takes credit for starting the Divas Revolution? No, who the hell cares? What Divas Revolution? The Divas Revolution is a fucking myth. It was never real in the first place. They care more about getting Divas Revolution to trend on Twitter than they do actually making the Divas Revolution a reality. Road Dogg keeps defending the product on Twitter. Of course he does. He still works for them, right? Yeah, he's a producer or something now, isn't he? Of course he's going to defend the product. He's not going to tell the truth. Because he's getting hot water with Vince for that. Stephanie takes credit for starting the Divas Revolution, and the yes men in WWE agree with her. Yeah, because they want to keep their jobs. Joey Ryan's viral video, I did not see it. I saw the video of him winning a test of strength with his penis. That was pretty funny. TNA was not good when Cornette was there. Cornette was a huge problem for ROH as well, despite what he says. Oh, yeah. I remember there being a whole lot of detractors of Cornette's run booking ROH. Let's just say that. Inferno match between both members of Creative. Would you watch that? Between Conway and Lagana? No. Imagine two non-wrestlers have a match where they is at an extremely high risk of one or both of them getting seriously injured. It's not the kind of stuff I usually think about. Rey Mysterio, did you like Flair's run in TNA? Did I? I assume that's what you mean. Flair's run in TNA felt largely inconsequential to me. I don't think they knew what to do with him. I think they took the amazing send-off he had with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania and kind of threw it away. Now instead of Flair having that, it's his last hurrah. He's got that time that he got his trunks pulled down and he mooned the camera for an extended period of time on Impact. It's just kind of sad in a lot of ways. There was that time they tried to make AJ Styles into a mini Ric Flair. Clearly not understanding AJ's character whatsoever. They didn't know what the hell to do with Ric Flair. They didn't. And I don't see how anyone in that company really benefited a great deal from having him there, just because they had no idea what to do with him. I would have creative team from Lucha Underground come in and align with the creative team from NXT and destroy both WWE and TNA creative teams. Rumors have it that Owens versus Lesnar at Mania is possible. If WWE wants to make the feud work, Owens has to stop being booked like a sissy. Jeff Atwood. I have not heard that rumor. I've heard fans speculating that it would be cool if it happened. I would argue that Kevin Owens is not even remotely ready from a character standpoint to be in a matchup with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. They would need to build him up a hell of a lot more to get him ready for that. And right now, he's in mid-card oblivion. They're booking Kevin Owens like he's here, whereas Brock is way up here. And I don't mean that to criticize Kevin Owens, but that's the way they've treated his character. He has not been booked in a position where matching him up with Brock Lesnar would make any sense at all. Direwolf, the baby faces, in my opinion, should be Sasha, Natty, and Becky. Becky, yes. Sasha, okay. I don't really get Sasha. I never really have. I don't understand the boss gimmick. To me, it's always felt really phony. Like she's acting, like she's just playing like she's acting. I look at her and I feel like she's acting like she's trying too hard to be something she's not. I accept that this is probably one of those cases where I just don't get it because everyone else seems to really love the boss character. Like, okay, whatever. I'll give you guys that one. I don't really get Sasha, but Everybody else seems to, so I guess that one's on me. Natty, I don't find her interesting. I just don't. I mean, she's been there for years now, and her only personality trait is still that she's a member of the Hart family. Good wrestler, but I understand why they use her as a utility player and not much else. There's just, and God love her, but there's just very little about her that is dynamic and interesting. I think if she wasn't on Total Divas, I don't know if she'd even still be on the main roster. I think once the Total Divas thing ends, they'll probably just offer her a trainer's position at the Performance Center or something. Maybe they'll keep her around just to, to keep Bret Hart in their good books, but Natty's really going nowhere. How would I book an effective tweener? I don't know, kind of like the original Goldberg character, where they're not really aligned with any heels or any faces, they're just out for themselves, but they do it in such a way that doesn't confuse people about how to feel about them. It depends on the character, really. I think Paige and Charlotte right now is a textbook example of how not to book tweener characters. Because you watch their segments and then you just leave completely confused about how to feel, so you don't really feel anything. Ray Mastani, what's one diva in the WWE that you would marry? Oh, Becky Lynch. Totally Becky Lynch. The accent is so hot. I love the hair. I'm a sucker for a redhead. I know it's fake, but she's so cute with that orange hair. Oh god. Plus, I really like girls that are funny, and Becky's funny. I love the whole the kind of the shtick she does with the corny jokes that are so bad they're good. Like she's the only one who laughs at them, but because they're so corny, they're kind of they're just really amusing. I like Becky Lynch a lot. If I was going to marry one diva, totally Becky Lynch. Dire Wolf, did you see Ziggler's Raw Backstage Fallout video yet? No, I did not. JCVM, The New Day, and Team Bad twerking on Raw. Yeah, this is how Vince does business with black people. Always shucking and jiving. Yeah, what I find interesting about that is that Naomi is for some reason perfectly fine with twerking with the guys her husband is feuding with. I mean, haven't they said on the show, haven't they acknowledged on the show that that her and one of the Usos are married? Is it Jimmy or Jay? I don't even remember. But yeah, I mean that's canon. That was acknowledged on the show, at least it was at one point. And now they have her dancing with the dudes that her husband's feuding with. Okay, why? Explanation, please. Yeah, that was the viral video about Joey Ryan. Yeah, that was some funny stuff. Whoa, hold on. And I'm skipping over some of these just because I want to wrap this up. Van Chaps, EC3 all the way. They should having never taken the belt off him, but I understand the dilemma. At least they took the belt off him in such a way that protected him and kept his win streak intact. That was appreciated, at least. I know they were in a tough spot in that they had to tape a whole shit ton of TV in a really short amount of time. Excuse me. I know it was not an ideal scenario for them. And that they had to essentially kill a couple months of television, but I'm not a fan of the way they chose to do it. NJ says, at the end of the day, Vince is like, keep paying for the network and I'm happy. Okay, yeah, pretty much. I don't have the network. I don't feel the need to order the network. When the product is the way it is, I'm not going to give them my money for the network. So until the product gets better, I'm not going to be spending my money on stuff like that. Ray Bastani, what do you think goes on in the creative meetings? Probably not much. Like I said, like I've been saying for weeks now, the recent product, it's not something that requires a ton of effort to put together. You got a bunch of matches and very minimal, if any, talking. So the creative meetings probably consist of what matches do we want to have this week? Okay, let's match up this person and this person. Match up this tag match, and we'll do him versus him, her versus her. And so hand that off to the bookers, put the matches together, slap them all together, and boom, there's your wrestling show for the week. Oh, we need a promo? We need a couple of promos? Okay, well, we'll just write down some really generic stuff really fast. Nothing really major. It only takes like a minute or two to write each promo, probably, because we don't need people with personalities or character anymore. Just write something really quick to get us from point A to point B and kill a minute or two in a backstage segment, and that's it. That's pretty much all that's going on there. Storylines and character interaction and character development and and entertaining stuff that requires effort. They're not doing any of that right now. They're just booking a bunch of matches with a little bit of talking thrown in here and there. Very little. That's all that's going on. Are you going to watch the Owen Hart DVD when it comes out? Probably not. I would honestly book Paige as a threat by having a weapon as her backup with like a kendo stick. Okay. GCVM, NXT is so overrated. They do good only in their takeover shows, but their weekly shows, for what little I've seen, is more like the same like Raw and SmackDown. Yeah. Alright, well, I don't really watch NXT, so I'll take your word for it, but that's what I hear most of the time. Well. NJ, I miss Heyman on Raw. Brock to me is great, but his schedule has made me care less, but Heyman brings magic and fire to everything he does. Yeah, Heyman's always entertaining. Would be nice if they could figure out a way to have Heyman on the show more often. Even though he is kind of getting repetitive with some of the stuff he does lately. Jeff Atwood, will you continue to do live Impacts reviews on TNA Goes to Pop TV? You do such a great job with the live reviews. I hope you can continue to do live reviews. We'll see. I haven't worked out what the schedule is going to be. I don't know if I even have Pop TV, first of all. And I'm going to be watching something else on Tuesday nights, as I usually do, at least during the regular TV season. So I'm going to need to at least most of the time, I'm going to need to watch it on a tape delay or online somewhere. So the night that I do the live streams is going to have to change. I almost certainly won't be able to do it on the night the show airs, at least most of the time. Again, at least during the regular TV season, assuming I have Pop TV. So the days may change. I guess during winter hiatus or during summer hiatus, I may be able to do them right after the show airs. Possibly. If not, if I have to wait until the show gets uploaded online somewhere, I'd have to do it on a different day, probably over the weekend. But I just don't know right now. NJ, did you think Bray was turning face on Raw by coming out in the opener, even though I think WWE are going to keep pushing him as a heel? Do I think he was turning face? No. It seemed that way for a minute, but then the Dudleys came out, and it's all back to business. I think Bray confronting the League of Nations was not about him turning heel. It was just about him being butthurt that they were kind of hogging the attention or claiming that they were a bigger threat than he was or something like that. It wasn't very clear. But really, all they really wanted to do was get a bunch of people in the ring at one time and not really having any real reason to do it. It was just an excuse to set up the big multi-man elimination match. That's all it was. Rey Mysterio, do you think Vince is purposely ruining his company before he lets it go? No. Why would he do that? That company's his legacy. Why would he want it to do bad business? Vince is way too arrogant for that. How would you fix TNA? Okay, 12:20. All right, this is going to be the last question, and then we're going to call it quits for the night. I'm just, I got other stuff I need to do, so this will be the last. This will be it. All right. One question after that. This will be this. Okay, no more questions. This will be the last two. All right. How would I fix TNA? Well, for starters, I would get new writers. I've been over this many times before. These writers are completely tapped out. They have no new ideas left. Clearly. Lagana and Conway have been writing the show for a long time now, and ratings have not gone up. Quite the opposite. Clearly, whatever it takes to get the ratings trending upward, Lagana and Conway don't have it. Okay, I think it's obvious that Gaburek doesn't have it either. So maybe keep Billy Corgan in there, because we don't really know what he's been doing. And from what I've heard in interviews, he seems to have his head screwed on straight. But get everyone else out of there and get some new writers, people with some fresh ideas. What the hell could it hurt at this point? NJ, you still think Dudleys versus the Wyatts should become a number one contenders for the tag titles? Well, the Dudleys are feuding for the tag titles, and that didn't go anywhere, because I think WWE just sees them as a nostalgia act. As evidenced by the fact that they're now in an ECW stable. Who the hell cares about an ECW stable? It is fucking 2015. The company went out of business fucking 15 years ago. Let it die. For fuck's sake. Hey look, it's Tommy Dreamer, the heart and soul of ECW. Who gives a shit? Chris, most of today's audience weren't even watching when ECW was a thing. Some of them, a lot of them, weren't even born yet. Let it die. And the Wyatts, well, they haven't exactly been positioned to be going for the tag titles either. They don't seem interested in them. And considering their win-loss record, that wouldn't be very interesting. It's like the Wyatts the Wyatts pretty much lose to everybody. The Dudleys are losing to everybody too. So them going for the tag titles now wouldn't make any sense. Alright, Direwolf. Kaylee Ray versus Becky Lynch. Would you see it? Oh, hell yeah. I'd be beating it like it owes me money. Two sexy redheads. Oh, God. The match would probably be really damn good, too. I love Kaylee Ray so much. She's so awesome. Alright, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it for me. Okay. Time for me to head to the shower. Thanks, everybody, for joining me tonight. Good review, good stream tonight. Thanks for all your questions. Please join me for the comic show post-show tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, where we've got 3 winter finale episodes to talk about. So yeah, one of which was earlier tonight before Impact started, Arrow. Interesting cliffhanger. I think there will be some varied opinions about that. But yeah, I enjoyed all 3 mid-season finales. So we got some cool stuff to talk about tomorrow night. So please join me then. Until then, I will... yeah, that's it. I have no outro. I'm just rambling now. But yeah. Thanks for joining tonight. Tune in tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, where we'll talk about S.H.I.E.L.D. and Arrow and Flash. And we'll have some fun then, too. So, and we'll see you then. That'll be it. Good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Later.